Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Mike Haspil, Wyatt Turk, and special guest, Jim Vesal. What's up, guys?
Greetings and felicitations.
Hey, what's up?
Hello from Canada.
He's our nice upstairs neighbors, guys.
What's up?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for putting up with us stupid downstairs Americans.
Yeah, looking down on the dumpster fire that's our country.
Yeah.
Haspil, what'd you do with Kenny?
He is filming pickups for Bad Boys 4.
He was cast as like belligerent juggalo number 5.
Yep. He gets hit like by a can of Four Loko in like the second act.
Eating a spicy sausage.
Yeah, this stunt's really cool though, so make sure you keep an eye on it.
I had a friend growing up that he watched the original Bad Boys like I think 260 times or something like that. Like he'd watch it, and he would literally watch it like every other day. I think he was up to like 260 viewings or something by the time like I stopped talking to him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it might be a little over the top, I'm afraid.
So for those of us out there in the podcast audience that may not know who Jim Vesal is, Jim, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hey guys, my name's Jim. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. I'm a mostly competitive gamer, 40K, also avid painter hobbyist. Just started doing a little bit of streaming as well. So I wouldn't say I'm a content creator quite yet because I don't really create anything. I just usually run my mouth on stream, and then and then Twitch basically just records it and puts it out to the world. So that's kind of what I've been up to. And I haven't really been playing a ton, to be honest, just because of I think I saw a meme today that basically said my games of TTS don't count. And I was like, okay, well, that means I've played 2 games of 9th edition. Because like I've played quite a bit of TTS with like the Team Canada for the WTC, but like I've literally played two real life games of 9th edition since it came out because of COVID and stuff. So I'm like, well, I'm a really bad Warhammer player right now because I don't know what I'm doing. So
yeah, Jim, super cool guy, very humble. He's arguably one of the best players at 40K in the world. So really cool to have you on the podcast. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And so now I get to mess with you a little bit. Now we're going to do our Would You Rather.
And you can't skip this.
Yeah, you get to sit through it. So would you rather never be able to eat your favorite food again or never get to have your favorite drink ever again?
Is that okay? I think I'd probably go drink because I actually don't have a lot of favorite drinks. So I feel like it's an easier, like drinks has just never been like, I don't have a drink that I'm like, oh, I got to have that drink. Whereas my favorite food is definitely like things like I never crave a drink. You know, I might crave beer or something, but like I never crave I'm not like, oh, I want some grape juice, right? Like, cause I love grape juice, right? So I think drink would definitely be easier to give up. So I'm going to go with food.
But wait, do you still get to eat food and drink?
Yeah, it's just like whatever like if your favorite meal is like mac and cheese, like can't ever have it again.
Yeah. I would pick drink as well because I've had my favorite drink and I've already kind of given it up. And it is the creme brulee shake at Burger in Las Vegas. I had it once. Yeah. What's that?
At the Gordon Ramsay's place?
At the Gordon Ramsay's Burger in Vegas. And I thought it was a creme brulee flavored shake. It is not. and I was just like, oh, this is fantastic. Meth, not even once. Like,
it was straight up like
it was like creme brulee made into a shake, and it was amazing. It was the greatest thing I've ever had, and I was like, I can never drink this again.
How many calories?
I might steal that idea.
Yeah, that's that. How many calories do you think that was?
It was probably 3,800 calories. I'm just balling.
It's like 2 days worth of calories.
It was amazing. It was really, really good. But it was like, yeah, I can't have that ever again.
You're worth it, Haspil. You're worth it.
What about you, Rob? What do you think?
Gosh, I don't know, man. Because like, I don't really have a favorite of each. So I would just eat and drink. Like, I'm just happy if I can eat and drink anything at this point. Like,
you're trying to weasel out of this. I feel it.
Not really. I mean, dude, like, okay, fine. Like, favorite food. Like, I don't
right.
This one really is. I don't taste right. I don't eat. I don't smell right. Like it's just like put it inside me so it powers me. I don't care. Like can I eat it?
I mean, you are a lizard person, so I can see it.
I don't even know if I have a favorite food, to be honest. Like, I think that was something that, like, I think as a kid, when you have, like, you eat, like, 6 things, it's easy to pick a favorite food. But as an adult, I feel like I eat so many different things. And I'm like, what is my favorite? And I'm just like, I don't know. Like,
so I was thinking about this, like, how I would look at it. And I'm just like, my favorite thing to eat is, like, a really good steak, right? It could be paired with many different things. But it's like, if I could never have steak again, I'd be real sad. So
Yeah,
I feel like that's what would happen to me if I chose food.
I would not like to never eat steak again for sure. So like there's things I would not want to never eat again.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily my favorites. I don't know. So lots happened in, well, just the past couple of days, to be quite honest. We know that G-Dub's pretty much back on track with their releases. We've had 3 weeks in a row where we're going to get new releases. And it seems like with the cancellation, air quotes, of new Mr. Monday reveals, it looks like we don't have to worry about stopgap content anymore for new stuff.
They're going to cancel doing that? I thought that was actually a good idea.
No. They said this is the last one when they revealed
they only did twice.
Sister of Battle. I think they did 3.
Oh,
yeah.
I saw the 2 vampires and I was like, this is cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they said it in there, and I can only assume that that's the reason why. Is because we're back on track content wise, assuming the whole Suez Canal thing doesn't screw up global releases to Australia, because that would be the choke point, of course. But I don't know. Who knows at this point? I think we'll all start getting sorted out in a couple of weeks, and we'll start hearing about that. That'll be the new hot thing. Supply chain disruptions because of the Suez Canal blockage, blah, whatever. But I think there's been I was writing stuff down to talk about. There's just so much, but I do want to at some point cover breaking down the value on Cursed City, because it seems to be a really hot button issue. Not necessarily the way that Pariah Nexus was with like the paywalls and stuff, but the fact that a lot of folks are really interested in this. Not only people that are like really hardcore hobbyists, but also people that want to play it with other folks in their area. Like in my area, you know, some of the people that do D&D and stuff, they're like, yo, that's dope, I want to play that. And I was like, well, I'll probably get one. And, you know, if we got 5 people, we can play, you know, a round of it, and it'll be super fun.
Yeah, because it's a self-contained game, because it's an offshoot of Warhammer Quest, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can do like, you know, a session, air quotes, and then box it all up. You have little baggies to keep track of all your character stuff. And then you can bust it all out, you know, in a couple of weeks, or the next week, run through another session or whatever, just kind of hang out and, you know, drink scotch. And
so I mean, so let's get into it. So like I haven't kept up with this at all.
Sure.
I just know that some of the models look really cool.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you know,
let me pull up the article here.
Sight unseen, what's the price of this box game?
So the box is $200, and if you buy the novel, the hardback novel, I think it's $27 if I recall correctly.
Okay,
you
so
get an extra.
Just the game, $200 for the game, right?
$200 for the game.
What do we get in the game?
So it is worth mentioning that all previous editions of Warhammer Quest were $150. So
okay,
so from 2016.
150 and 200. So I guess the break point is going to be, what do we get in the box?
Okay.
How much was Black Fortress?
150.
150 also. Okay.
Yeah. So in 2016, Silver Tower came out, 150. 2017, also 150 for Helden Hall or whatever it was called. And in 2018, Blackstone Fortress came out, also 150. Now in 2021, Cursed City, $200. But the reason there was such that gap 2018 to 2021 was because they kept coming out with expansions for Blackstone Fortress. So it kind of like bridged the gap right there. That's why we didn't have 2 starters in there. So in this set, you get 70, was it 70 or 61? You get 50 miniatures plus 10 objective markers in Cursed City. So I think it's 61 total unique miniature things.
Gotcha.
In this box. And then all the dice, the counters, the tokens, the board tiles, which it's a value add for me because you don't need one without the other. So you got to get them both, right? The secret envelope and that's like the Cracker Jack prize for like the end beating.
Oh,
the
right,
end
right.
boss.
It's like Blackstone. It's like the secret mission or what have you.
Yep. And then your rule book and quest book as well. Generally, they put in little envelopes so you can like store your characters and all the stuff they have in together, so you don't lose any of that. Silver Tower, when it came out in 2016, was 51 miniatures. And all the, accoutrement, cards, dice.
Okay.
You didn't get quite as many board tiles, but you got about, everything else that we discussed above. It was a breakdown of the heroes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. The bad guy, the Gaunt Summoner, which came out separately. The Ogre Thaumaturge, Skaven dudes, the Pink Horrors. That's where we got the pink and blue horror kits from. Brimstone Horrors, Zangors, Carrick Alkalites, and Grot Scuttlings. And then the Shadows over Hammerhall, which was the next box, was only 31 miniatures.
Right.
And
most of so I have kind of a thought on this already. So like most of the miniatures in that game that people want the game for, other than just playing it, right, are like hero figs, right? And most of those hero figs are like about normal human size to a little bit bigger than human sized, correct?
Right.
So if we were just to break this down, right, with basic averages, not exact numbers, the average like human sized standalone miniature for Age of Sigmar is somewhere between $30 to $40, correct? Somewhere. So like if right down the middle, 35. So like $35. So I want like a cool, like human witch hunter type miniature. It's usually going to be about $35.
Oh, and these will be released separately, and they will
eventually
be $30 to $35.
Right.
100%.
And so I'm just thinking about this, right? So like I just made an order for some 40K stuff where I got one attack bike model for $35. And so I spent a little over 200 to get 6 attack bikes. And so you're telling me that I can buy this box set, and not only do I get 60 miniatures, as well as the like
8 heroes,
the 8 heroes, which are like the flagship minis for this game, but I also get the game and all the stuff that comes with it.
Yep.
So if I want to play like a cool like dungeon crawly fantasy game, I totally can. And if not, I still get all of those miniatures, which I can probably repurpose into other aspects of my hobby if I'm not into playing Warhammer Quest.
100%.
For $200. So to me, as far as Games Workshop dollars is concerned, that's a pretty darn good deal.
Yeah, it's $4 a figure, like straight up. When you know that those 8 heroes are going to sell for $35 each, 9 months ish from now, give or take. And so, I mean, that's just value right there. And then, of course, they'll have AOS War Scrolls. We already know they're playable in Warcry. That content came out today. So it's kind of there is value to this box, 100%. It is more than it was previously, but there is value. But it's also worth mentioning that it has the most amount of miniatures so far for one of these Warhammer Quest
so
games.
it has more than any of the other ones, and like 3/4 of the way through last year and the year before that, we also went through some price hikes. Like I think wasn't it like the beginning of fall 2019 when they had a pricing restructure for things like Get Started boxes and stuff like that, right? If my memory serves,
I think it was the January or February. They said they were going up to 95 on some, 100 to some.
That was 2019 or 2020.
I believe it was January 2019.
Okay, so we're a good 2 years past their last big price hike, so we knew.
No, that's incorrect. They did a price hike last summer.
So what was that on?
Significantly.
That one.
That was like, I mean, there was so much stuff. They put out a spreadsheet. I think all the Greater Demons went to like 140 from like 115.
Okay.
One of them was already 140.
That sounds about right. So I guess my point on that is like this should be expected that the price for a box set of this caliber is going to go up a little bit and went up $50.
Yeah, I mean, you could complain about a $50 price increase all day for sure, but that's not really what this is. It's, it's trying to compare the value inside of the box to the price. Yes, is the price high? Sure. But is the price high compared to what you get? Not necessarily. Because, if you were really into Age of Sigmar, huge value. If you're into all those other things you just talked about, huge value as well, right? So I don't feel like $200 is over the top in GW money at all. But folks will have a hard time getting this box. They're limited 8 to a store, 1 per online order. GW did send out an email yesterday to a lot of their trade accounts saying, hey, we have some more. You can order up to 160. I think it was a typo. I think it was supposed to be 16. But
right. Like that's kind of, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop on this, because like my initial thought was like, okay, think positive. This is kind of a cool thing. Price seems pretty good for what you're going to get. And then now, yet again, the way that they're releasing this seems to be kind of suspect.
I think GW possesses, and this is something that they could easily solve, the scalping issue, where if they put out these huge blocks of releases like Curse City right now, Pariah Nexus, a couple of weeks ago, right? The things that folks can't get their hands on because they get sold out immediately.
All you got to go to the second market.
Right. All you got to do is just offer an MTO, right? Because you get the money. Here's GW. We need money now, right? Mm-hmm. We need money. We're current quarter profits above all else. We need money now. Do an MTO. Get your money now. Source it later. Like work it into your workflow later on. Like it's a win-win for everybody.
I think it would help everybody if they were like, hey, stores, you're going to get 8 of these because that's what we can give you. But we're going to let you order as many as you want for a fulfillment like 3 to 4 months later. Yeah. And I think that would go over so much better than just like
really well.
And I mean, honestly, I don't know. I do know why they do it. It's because their entire business model is based on recouping costs immediately and impulse buying. It's the reason that we didn't have FOMO for so long. So it's like, I kind of wish they would do what's best for everybody instead of only what's best for them, because if they, in this situation, at least, if they do what's best for everybody, they also win because it's everybody, including them. Right. But they're not going to.
And I think the big thing is that the value proposition to all of their products is going to become very paramount this year, if not next year, because there's so many external factors, from 3D printing to Brexit to digital sharing to recasts out of China. There's so many external factors right now that they are going to have to provide the value to folks who are constantly voting with their hobby dollars. Every release, they're voting with their hobby dollars. And we need to continue to do that because, yes, GW does have to make money and they do have to make a profit to continue to keep giving us this dope universe and these dope games. But they also have to continue to give us value, because otherwise we're just going to do other stuff like Legos or Marvel Crisis Protocol or whatever. You know, there's plenty of other things out there right now to get people's attention. Mm-hmm. So I think going forward, we're going to start to see some pivots, but you know, right now we can just make suggestions and we can just be like, hey, this is messed up. Y'all might want to think about fixing it. Or, hey, this is pretty dope. I think Curse City, pretty dope release. I think it's going to sell. I think people are going to really, I want to see whole painted Curse Cities in a weekend. Jim Vesal. I want to see it. You know, I want to see those painted sets out there. I want to see people playing. I really want to see people get hype to these sets, because that's something that you can get in your little pod of people. You don't have to worry about the COVIDs and all that. And you can play it and you can have fun, right? Because, you know, it's your immediate family or whatever. But, you know, it's just a real weird time for the hobby. And it's really good to see something like this. So there is some value there. Also, I did want to mention that Hero Quest, the reboot for 2021 was 61 miniatures. 71 miniatures. So more miniatures than Curse City for $99. But that being said, we don't know what these miniatures are going to look like. If they're unicast, if they're monocast, if they're multi-part, we don't know nothing. The resin, we don't know the material. We don't know anything.
I'm kind of hoping, honestly, for that they're monocast.
Yeah.
For Hero Quest, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping they're monocast, so I can just pull them out of the box and play. Done.
Right, exactly. And I think I think that's the big thing with board games that you mentioned for the Aliens game that people were upset about.
It needs to be very, very few pieces. I imagine, just based on looking at these new models, at least for the hero ones, I would bet they're probably going to be a lot like the heroes from Blackstone Fortress, where they're very few pieces, but they are going to be like.
Oh, but you're talking about Curse City, right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just hard to compare because there's so many other things out there. So that's kind of like an apples to oranges thing. But I did want to mention it, that it is less. You do get more, but we don't exactly know the quality of the miniatures, unfortunately. Now, going forward, so we don't know what's going to come out next week. But if I had to guess, we're probably going to see some of the specialist games catching up because there is like the War Master Titan and a couple other things. GW just teased some new Volkai weapons for Titanicus. And also, speaking of Titanicus, there is a dope video game that dropped this week. Finally, it came on a beta. Titanicus, Adeptus Titanicus Dominus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's $30 on Steam, but if you got the White Dwarf, you get it for free.
Yeah. That White Dwarf is probably the best value White Dwarf. I'm still reading it. The content in it was amazing.
Yeah.
Just the stuff on the Exorcist is incredible. But you get 12 games.
Yeah, here's all the games right here. If you can see in the live stream, it's a lot of games. Stuff.
Some of them, admittedly, not that great. Some
a lot of their Steam games are actually mobile game ports.
But a lot of them are really, really good.
Yeah.
A lot of them are very good. So it's like, I wish they would, there was one game that I wish they would port from mobile, but I think it's dead because the company is gone.
What is it?
The company's dead. And it's a Battlefleet Gothic Leviathan. And we all know that there's two really good Battlefleet Gothic games on Steam, but Battlefleet Gothic Leviathan was a 1-to-1 port of Battlefleet Gothic. It was the same as the tabletop game. I actually have an old iPad that I refuse to upgrade because it still runs Battlefleet Gothic Leviathan. And as soon as I update it, it won't run it anymore. Because, they had the iOS change. So it predates that. So it still works, but I wish they had ported that to PC before it went away, because it's a lot of fun. And it is a straight digital 1-for-1 Battlefleet Gothic with the die rolls and everything. So
yeah, I love that.
Somebody's saying in the chat, the codes on that Steam thing expire August 2021.
Oh, so
don't forget to activate them.
Yeah,
they have some really good games on there. I mean, a lot of people don't play like Sanctus Reach. It's a turn-based strategy. I really like that game. The graphics are not the best. It seems like a 20-year-old game, which is probably why I like it. But pound for pound, man, it's a great game. They have Gladius is fantastic. Mechanicus is probably one of the best. It's an XCOM clone. We'll just call it what it is.
Is actually a super solid game.
Super solid game. Great soundtrack too. Space Marine is on there. Yeah. Which if you haven't played Space Marine,
Space Marine holds up. Like I think I played it last year, and I hadn't played it since it came out on the Xbox 360, like back in the day.
Yeah, 360.
Yeah. But like really the only thing that doesn't quite hold up is some of like the deeper background textures. Like the playable area terrain and backgrounds look okay, but the deeper background and skybox stuff doesn't hold up as well anymore. But like graphically and gameplay wise, like it was so solid when it came out that even now it holds up, and it's still a really fun game.
And I think Gladius is on there, which is a Civilization type kind of 4X game, which is pretty good. But if you don't like the turn-based games in your SOL, but they have Dawn of War on there, the Dawn of War original franchise is on there. And if you get the Unification mod, it's incredible. And I wish that Sega would just, revamp, just reskin They don't even need to change the gameplay. Just reskin Dawn of War and make it so that it'll work on new monitors and widescreen.
Yeah.
And re-release it. It's easy money.
HD remaster Dawn of War. Dawn of War got so many people into Warhammer.
Yep. Yeah.
So many people that they really, it saddens me that they kind of let that franchise die on the vine. But I mean, like it was because like THQ and Relic kind of went under. So that's like part of it too. But I really wish that they had just, sell that, or like shop out that IP to
just RTS it again. Like
like that was such a good game, but I don't know why they haven't done more of it. Cause it was like the most popular Warhammer game ever.
Yeah. And Dawn of War 3, I think.
It kind of shit on a lot of people.
I think I have to check my Steam, but I played less than 10 hours of that game.
It was.
So you didn't like it?
No,
a lot of people did not like it.
I didn't think it was a bad game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hated it. I was like, if I wanted to play League of Legends, I'd play League of Legends.
Oh, that doesn't make it a bad game. That just means you didn't like it.
The game collapsed, Wyatt. It collapsed.
Yeah, a lot of people did not like it.
Like they had to put out.
So I agree with you. It did not do well, but the game itself, like the core of the game, it was not like a bad game. It wasn't buggy. It didn't crash.
No.
The graphics were okay.
I mean, it was a reskin of what was that? What was the game? It was a reskin of.
Yeah, I don't know.
From the same developer? I hadn't.
Yeah. I have to go back and look.
I mean, I will 100% agree that like the game wasn't what most people expected or wanted from a Dawn of War game, which is probably why it didn't do well. But when I played it, I was like, this is a solid game, and it was fun to play. It's just
I even tried to play through the single player because I like playing the single player, but I couldn't even get into it. I was just like, no, this is
Mm-hmm.
maybe because I like League of Legends and it came out at the same time. I was still like super into League, playing it all the time. I was like, this is a fun game.
Maybe. Well, switching gears a little bit, I wanted to talk about some other news and new releases out there. So we did see that GW's new free miniature of the month is Demons for April, and there's a Be'lakor collectible coin too. So they didn't say Be'lakor and all the Chaos Demon stuff was going to come out in April, but they kind of alluded to it a little bit. So maybe we'll see Broken Realms Be'lakor this month. Hard to say, but maybe. It's definitely worth talking about a little bit. On the GW side of things, that's kind of, there's one really big thing. The Warhammer 40K Conquest, the new one. It wasn't an April Fool's joke. We published the article today. The Imperium. Yep. Yeah. It is coming to America. Now, some folks are like, well, if you click on it, I don't know about this domain, but if you go to the main Imperium website and click on subscribe now, and if you're in the States, it takes you to that domain. So it's 100% legit as far as I can tell. It looks like you can order issue 1 and 2 as a group and issue 3 and 4 as a group. Now, over in the UK, they're £8.99 an issue. So here it seems to be about the same, but you get extra stuff and a couple of them. So I think the second batch is $23.90. And you get some paints or something. I think it was. You
get paints and like some destroyers. It was actually some pretty big Necron models.
The second delivery, you get a Citadel modeling kit, which it looks like it's glue, a little file, and a clippers. And that's why they charge you more for that one. And then, but it's 80 some issues. So in theory, at the base issue price, it'll cost you roughly 9 times 80, which is $270 for just all the pieces.
So is that upfront or is that per?
No, that's each month. But it looks like they're bundling it. Instead of letting you go back and pick out issues like they do in the UK, they're bundling together issue 1 and 2, and then issue 3 and 4.
So they're probably doing that because there's only one unique miniature in that whole run.
As a delivery. Yeah, and it's that new Space Marine captain.
Yeah, so they're probably doing that so that people can't just wait until week 7 and just buy that.
And then buy that one, yeah.
I don't know. I'm still super salty that the Ultramarine specific Primaris Lieutenant was locked into Conquest, whereas the Space Wolf one, the Blood Angels one, and the Dark Angels one were all like individual store releases. I mean, I got it. but I had to pay like $70 for it.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, that's a yikesy. So you do so you can sign up, and it goes by deliveries, right? So it's I guess what it's looking like is a delivery is 2 issues, and every so many deliveries you get a free gift, which you have to pay more for. So I'm not sure if it's actually free, but just looking at it, it's not too bad. You know, the first one is clippers, a file, and a little thing of glue,
Which is like $30.
Yeah. No, they're miniature. They're not like the full size ones, but still.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
I think the 4th delivery is a paintbrush set. It looks like 3 Citadel brushes. 5th delivery is a paint handle. 3rd delivery is a binder and dividers. I didn't really go too deep into this because it never really was available in America. So I did order the first couple ones just to check it out and see what it's all about. But I'll cancel the shit out of it if it starts like charging me stupid money for a delivery. Because I'm like, I mean, it's cool and it's neat to see, but like, I don't think I'm the demographic for this. Cause you know, like me, no, but new people, yes. A veteran hobbyist, maybe
that's
not so
what I
much.
thought too. I was like, you know, if I was like thinking about it, if I was thinking about it from the point of view of like my agent's son, because I bought him a bunch of Warhammer stuff, like, you know, and so from his point of view, if he was wanting to get stuff or whatever, and he was limited in allowance or whatever, you know, this is way cheaper than getting a mini at the store every time. You get 100%. More minis, you get a magazine, you get a paints, you get little brushes and everything. I think that's the demographic they're aiming for, is like the younger or the newer hobbyist.
Right.
There's like me, like for the Necrons, I was like looking at all the Necrons and everything. Right now I have more Necrons than I can paint, you know? So I briefly thought about subscribing to this and then just went, what am I going to do with more Necron models? Like it's very clearly not targeting me, you know?
Oh, I think it's genius because those folks that pay, you know, the $8.99 or the $16.90 for the 2 issues, and then they're going to start getting into the hobby more and more. And we all know the average price of an army is around $800 ish. So it's genius because it's like starting small. And if it's your thing, then you get into it more and more and poof, we got more hobbyists. I don't know if we need more hobbyists right now because it's hard to source product in general, but the hobbies, it's always good to have more people in your hobby. It's always
good to have more people playing the game. Always.
So we're all going to have to like fight for hobby products a little bit more these days. But all right.
We're going to have to start playing for pinks.
Yeah. Be like, I like your army, dog.
A gladiatorial arena to see who can duke it out for the attack bikes.
Can you even imagine that, playing for pinks on an army? That would be so. I feel like sign up for that.
I could do it like one time, but only if it was like, it would have to be for like charity or something. Or
I can
like
see
some type
doing
of
that
event
for
thing
charity,
where it's like, you know, it would still be like maybe if it was like Kenny and I, right, and like we did like a charity event, like at a big tournament or something, where it's like whoever wins is going to take the other person's army. Like we're playing for pink slips. Like that would be kind of cool, but I don't know if I would do it like on the reg. Definitely
no,
not.
That's a little bit too
yes, might be a little destructive.
Yeah, that's a little bit too real.
But then you could like beat somebody and you could have that like that Vin Diesel moment where it's like, man, you never had me, you know, like rolling dice, like card. You know, you'd have to adapt it, but that would be pretty funny, I think.
Oh my God. Maybe we should like just do like one model or something. Like wasn't it Magic the Gathering you used to play for Ante?
For Ante, yeah. You flip a card and you play for that card.
Yep. And you're like, please be a land. Please. And you're like, oh.
No, you would skip. If it was a land, you would skip it.
Yeah. But it was like, oh, it's Sarah Angel. Damn, shit just got real.
Oh, that's okay. That's stupid. That's a stupid mox. All that does is give me mana. I don't need that. I literally said that. I was like, it's just a mox. This just gives me mana. It's stupid. Moxes are like stupid money now.
Oh yeah.
Or my Chaos Orb. I used to tear them up. Those were
wow.
And then I perfected the flip technique when they said you couldn't tear up the chaos orb. There's like a little technique to when you take a card, you can kind of like you shove it forward, but you also flip it with your thumb. It's like from my Pog training days, and I figured out how to like snipe people's stuff with the chaos orb. They hated that too. Oh man! All right, back on track. All right, so
Pog
but
training days. Yeah,
the Pog slammers, dog. Gotta get.
I wish that I had the same level of like childhood hype walking into like a Games Workshop as I did walking into like a Sears circa 1994, where they had like literal like water troughs or like bathtub shaped size things that were just filled to the brim with Pogs. You could buy like a whole sleeve of them for a couple of dollars, and that was like it didn't get any better than that.
Yep. Pogs were a tremendous business like resource too, because all you had to do was give away Pogs at your place with your store's name and shit on it, and the kids would spread them like everywhere.
Oh,
like, everywhere.
Genius!
It was like glitter.
I need like an internet historian, because I've heard some younger people start using Pog or Poggers.
Oh, it came back.
Is it related to actual Pogs?
Because the guy that said it on Twitch, he was it was like Pog champion, like that was his thing when he was a kid. So he's
it actually does mean like Pogs.
Yes.
Okay, so I thought it may have been like an unrelated meme of this.
It was him saying it.
Okay.
So it's more about him, because people are calling him like the Pog champion and shit.
Oh, okay. So
it's more about him than
internet persona type thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
But it is from what you think it is. Like,
cool. Well, today I learned. Fun.
Yeah.
Pogs need to make a comeback. Should have Pogs. I want Pogs again. Think about like all the cool tech we have. Like we have 3D printers and like CNC routers and laser etchers and all that stuff. We could make some like baller ass grown man Pogs that are way cooler than anything that we had as a kid. Why isn't this a thing? Long War call to action for all of you 40K hobbyists and makers out there. Start making some dope ass Pogs.
Yep, there it is. You started the fire.
Do it. Bring it
it's
back.
Funny because
Aussie
Jetty just said something. Jedi said something that me and Haspil were talking about, because Haspil actually found the old Sears catalog for the 1977 Star Wars offering in the catalog. And get this, anybody that was around back then, like you knew the kid on your block that had the effing Millennium Falcon, right?
Yeah,
he was
one kid.
Straight gangster. His family was so well off. If you had the Millennium Falcon, you were like you had all the kids.
It was the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier.
Yes, that too.
I had the C-130, so I thought that like my big dick energy was big, and then like my next door neighbor got the fucking aircraft carrier, and I was like, you son of a bitch.
Yep. And then
like 5-year-old keeping up with the Joneses moment.
But it's funny because those are only like less than 10 years apart. But here's the thing, in that catalog, the Millennium Falcon was $24.99.
Yeah, $24.99.
And I was like, are you kidding me right now? It was only $25. I'll buy 10 right now. And
you can't. They're worth way more than that now.
Well, first of all, you can't, because they're all, and if you do find them, they're probably all yellow. But 25, to put that in perspective, how much $25 was in 1977, that me and Haspil were like, yo, if you had one of these, your family was loaded. $25.
$25. Yeah.
Like that was the status symbol. Crazy. Crazy when you think about it. And the flag was, I think, $600 when it came out in 1985 or 86. Why I know these things, I can't tell you, because I wanted one. But yeah, it's just nuts out there. Jumping back to Magic for a second, I did want to mention that if you do sell trading cards on the side, whether it's Pokemon, which is huge right now, or Magic the Gathering, or even conventional trading cards, which are also huge right now, thanks to Gary Vee and others. eBay is doing a listing app. So basically you just take a picture of the card and it fills in all the like information and stuff. And they're rolling it out first for Magic. So it's pretty nice. They had a survey on there, and they were
Hold on. I have to stop you right there. Somebody in the chat, one of our longtime listeners, just had a great idea.
What's that?
The next Long War doubles, we have to have a mini game with Pogs as part of the tournament.
Oh, we should.
And we can give out Longmore Pogs. This is happening. I'm 100% with it. John Patrick, thank you so much for that great idea.
That's actually pretty. Yeah, we might have to do that. So if your side hustle is trading cards and things like that, well, eBay has just made it easier. They also said that 75% of new users in 2020 were basically extra source of income because times got so tough. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there with a little bit of side hustle too. Yes, and as somebody actually in chat just mentioned that they're going to start mentioning reporting total sales for over $600 in next year. So previously PayPal reported $5,000 in sales, but eBay's doing managed payments right now. So they basically just forced everybody to switch over and put your bank account information in, and they're doing all the payouts now, no matter what people pay with. So you don't want to get got and have to owe, extra in taxes because
pay them taxes.
Yeah. It's so make sure you set up your corporation, you set up your LLC, set up your S corp, do a pass through, save some cheddar. But be on the lookout for that because, it's actually not hard to open up an LLC or like an S corp. Well, you would have to do the election as an S corp. So you probably will need a CPA. You won't be able to do your taxes at, block or whatever.
I mean, if you run stuff through PayPal, like PayPal is actually really good about being like offering pretty freely about like switching to a business account, which has a lot of benefits over just using it on the reg. So I definitely recommend getting a business PayPal.
Yeah, it's definitely worth having all that functionality. Toys R Us also is rumored to be coming back, at least here in the States, in a smaller yet more, pop-up format, in different areas, airports, larger metro areas and things like that. They think, toys were big in 2020 and the folks that bought the rights to it think they got the winning formula. So it'd be cool to see.
So rather than like big box, they're going to go to like boutique.
Yeah.
Okay.
More like, boutique.
You say pop up and I think like food truck. So I'm like, wait, they're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is some kind of like that, like the pop-up stores. Really? Yeah. Like they just drive around in a truck and boop here and boop there in metro areas.
And there's something a little weird about.
I got some G.I. Joe right here.
Yeah, like hey kid, you want?
I got two
want to buy a transformer?
I got a Storm Shadow fresh in the package. Shit! Is that the special Storm Shadow with the Kung Fu grip?
He's like, yeah, you just got to get in my van.
I mean, that's basically how people are doing shit these days. So why not, right? I mean, if people want Jeffrey
the elephant or the giraffe has fallen on some hard times.
Yeah, he is.
It's rough.
We've come a long ways. Meth is a hell of a drug. Oh my goodness. Rick and Morty season 5 was also teased. So coming in June, looks hilarious and also has some Voltron content in there for people that remember that.
Pretty good.
Not Wyatt, I guess. Sorry, Wyatt.
I know what Voltron. Wait, yeah, I saw the trailer. It's hype.
Hey,
there's like I noticed some Hellraiser stuff too.
There was some BDSM.
But you didn't know that I knew that.
Yeah,
it was specifically Hellraiser. Like there were references to Hellraiser in the clips.
Oh yeah, 100%.
We have such sights to show you.
On the independent side of things, Cromlech's 7-year anniversary is happening right now on April 1st. So I think it goes through April 6th, 20% off their store. It's pretty cool. They got tons of upgrade bits, tons of resin stuff, MDF and HDF terrain, and they have some previews for stuff coming down the pipe. And now they got a lot of Primaris upgrades too. So if you're looking for those bits, I mentioned to them they should do attack bikes, but we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Definitely check them out. Creature Caster got a restock of the Necromancer Dragon in too. It's not the collector version with the card, but it's just the regular version.
That was a very, very cool miniature. Well, not even miniature.
I would not call it miniature.
Yeah, it's not a miniature. It's big.
They did mention it does fit in the Deltoff IKEA case, one shelf, just barely. It fits in there.
Wow.
Yeah. Just barely. And Elric's Hobbies came out with a new line of bases, the Imperial Walkway, which is very similar to their brick line. I think they're getting rid of their brick line and moving to this. It looks good. Very cool stuff. We're going to do a video on those here soon when we get one painted up. it will be really good. So that's kind of all the stuff I'm tracking at least this week. I mean, I had to pick and choose. I couldn't do it all. I didn't want to talk your ear off here.
That's a sizable market watch. Thanks, Rob.
It was a chonk. Hopefully we'll have more GW next week. We'll find out this Sunday.
Yep. Someday.
So I think we probably went over a little bit, but it was nice having Jim on here, and hopefully Kenny got the role of, what was it, Juggalo number 5?
Yeah. Quick aside, for those of you who bought into the Chronicle X Kickstarter, I know we've been waiting for a long time. I got the initial core board game probably about 2 years ago, and I'd kind of just forgotten about it. Well, I got a box of all the other Kickstarter stuff today, and it was a lot. I haven't even had a chance to look at it yet, but I opened it up thinking, oh, what is this? And saw Chronicle X, just boxes and boxes. And I was like, oh, snap. Like, so if you're waiting on that stuff, they are shipping, just so you know. And before we dip out, I want to talk about something that Warlord Games has just released. And we know them. They're kind of a European company. But they just released this thing called Black Powder Epic Battles, and it's 15 millimeter set that lets you do larger battles, right? And their first set that they released using this rule set is American Civil War. Unfortunately, like their promotional set, which was a ridiculous deal, is now sold out. It's gone. But the starter is available. It runs $120. And yes, I had to do a double take when I saw the price, because I was like, $120 comes with 12 regiments of both sides, Union and Confederate. So 24 regiments, comes with obviously infantry and artillery. Cavalry does not come in this set, but it does come with like a farmhouse for terrain and some snake fences, stuff like that. And the rule book, it was an incredible deal. I flipped the box over after I bought it and got it home, and kind of sobbed in panic because it said over 2,500 miniatures. And I was like, oh, what have I done?
So, gonna need some contrast paint, dog.
Right. Ooh. And I kind of went, well, I'm never going to play this game. Like, this is crazy. I'm going to have to paint all these guys. And then I opened it up, and it's fantastically done. Like the regiments are not individual guys. They're like bars of 10 guys in a row.
Okay.
And you can just plug them into the base, and they came cast in colored plastic.
There you
so
go.
Union is blue and Confederate is gray. So I was just like, you can actually probably put that together in an hour and actually be playing a battle within an hour out of the box, and you don't have to paint it. So I'm really looking forward to picking up some cavalry for that. And I hope that they do some other big, honestly, I hope they do ancients in this system. Ooh. My wallet doesn't, because
that'd be cool.
Yeah. But I'm like, I need a Roman legion and some Carthaginians, and it would be absolutely fantastic. But I wanted to mention to people that this is a really cool Civil War set. And they're launching all kinds of stuff. They have terrain that's coming out for it. In fact, Gamers Haven did have the terrain, but it was so new that they didn't have it in the system yet, which is why I didn't pick it up. I'll pick it up this weekend. But it was great stuff. So be on the lookout for that.
So, Jim, you have just started streaming on Twitch and YouTube. Yeah, and some painting. So pretty cool, because like we've kind of known who you were a little bit in the 40K world for a long time, and you've have a reputation for being a cool guy and having really awesome armies. Mm-hmm. And you started streaming now. So how do you like stepping into that content creation world?
I think it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and what I found myself like missing 2019 I did a lot of podcasts. Like I was like on, like people were like, oh, come on our show. So I did a lot of that in 2019, and then 2020 I was like very much out of the hobby. Like when events got canceled and there was like no Warhammer, I literally like I had a fantastic year. Like 2019, I think I did like something like 27 events. It was like mental. I was traveling like almost every other week. And so 2020, I didn't travel at all. I think I flew once in February and then I didn't fly for the rest of the year. So I was very much out of the hobby. But now that I've been back, like since basically December, because I was opening a restaurant at the tail end of last year, I've been like craving content and like just talking about 40K. And because I'm not like cool anymore, no one wants me on their shows. So I was like, okay, well, how do I talk about 40K? No, like, everyone's talking like, so I was like, I'm just going to create my own show. Screw it. Right. So that's what really kind of got me into it. And it's been good. It's actually been a little cathartic as far as like my mental health as well, because some of the, like, it's mostly painting streams where I'm just painting and chatting and just like talking through like just life and just random stuff, politics. Like it's very like a variety show. And then I'm doing a show called the Best Overall Show every Thursday. Actually, that's where I have to go after this
right,
to record with David Kozka, who's like a really a prolific painter and tournament gamer as well. And the kind of core of that show is just like both of our passions for all things of the hobby. Like I think a lot of podcasts are like hobby focused or competitive focused or like whatever. And our goal is really to kind of like in the spirit of the old Best Overall award, which like back in the day when I played fantasy, like Best Overall was the most coveted because like it meant you got good comp scores, good sportsmanship, good painting, good battle. You had to have this like balanced approach to win that. And that was always like the pinnacle of gaming back when I kind of came up through the hobby. Nowadays, like Best General is more like the main award. But when I played fantasy, Best Overall was always like the kind of pinnacle thing. And I'm not sure, I skipped a lot of editions of 40K. So it's been a good experience so far. And I'm still trying to get a hang of it. Like I've been, still working on lots of the tech, like I learning OBS and like learning all the various bits. So, but I think the biggest thing has just been like having a outlet, especially now that I'm not playing a ton of games in person, to be able to interact with people or just to kind of like talk my mind when it comes to like the hobby and stuff. And there's always like when I listen to you guys or like there's always podcasts I listen to, I'm like, oh, I want to say something, but obviously it's a one-way experience, right? Like I wish I could like talk about that thing that these guys are like, I'm really excited to like talk about that thing, that subject. It's really, really interesting subject, but I just didn't have that outlet. So streaming has been something that's been really, really good for that as well. And so I'm going to continue to do it, and hopefully I'm still figuring out what I want to do with it. Like, I don't know if I want to do like I see people's like YouTube videos, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't have the time. Like I have a full-time career, so for me to like edit videos and produce like nice, it's going to be very raw. It's going to be like, here's me for an hour uncut, just like filming stuff, right? I'm not gonna have time to sit there and like edit stuff. So hoping to do more content and get better at that. But it's definitely not. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm not sure if I'll ever like how far I'll take it. But people say you have to get 10 episodes, and then once you do 10 episodes of something, that's like when it's good. So I'm gonna give it 10 episodes and then see how I feel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so like YouTube's a different beast, right? Like streaming or releasing content on YouTube can kind of chew you up and spit you out. So I would say just like do whatever you're passionate about, and then if you're feeling good about it, that's going to translate into the work, and people will gravitate towards that. But unless you kind of like you said, like you have a full-time gig, right? And the only way to win at YouTube, right, is to kind of make
it your full-time gig.
Yeah. And so if you're not going to do it, like don't go into it with any like preconceived notions, and just do it to have like, a good time. Because
and there's actually not a lot of content creators in the tabletop wargaming space that actually make that particular platform their full-time job. Like I can think of less than 5 that have done it successfully. But, the amount of work that goes into for us to do a YouTube feature like, let me do an unboxing, do the unboxing, record it, send it to my video editor. She gets done with it. We make the thumbnail for it. We put it over. We do all this. We do the article write up on the site, which isn't what you would need, but that's another hour. Yeah. All the social content, all the social shares and things like that. It's 20 to 30 hours. At that point to produce maybe a 10-minute video.
And that's with an editor. I'm like, I don't have an editor.
Yeah, and that's with an editor.
I can't afford an editor. So it'll be me like figuring out with like Adobe or something and like ruining it basically.
Yeah. So, but I think the biggest takeaway is, and that's for anybody listening, is if you do want to get involved, just like Jim is doing, you know, whether it's Twitch, which is a lot easier. And that's why we see a lot more people on Twitch and doing live content, because you basically turn on the camera, you have the background, and you talk about the hobby, and it's super easy to do. And you will get a following, but your vibe attracts your tribe, if you know what I'm saying. Like, so that's also important too, because if you're a crap person, you're going to attract crap people. And we've seen that in the hobby too, unfortunately. But that being said, I think you're the type of person that would do fantastic with it, to be quite honest, because you do have that passion for a lot of different things. But in 2021, a lot of folks, they want to be entertained. So it's almost like the content is just like the foreplay. The content is like the background. Yeah. The content is something you're doing while you're entertaining people.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if it was my first stream, like trying to read chat, paint, and talk. I was like, oh my God, this is way harder than I thought. Because I was like trying to paint on stream and like, I was like and I was like, it can't be that hard, right? And now I've gotten a pretty good hang of it. Like I can talk painting and kind of check chat. But the first time I was like, oh my God, this is so hard. And I kept stopping. And so like I literally got nothing done. I painted I made like 3 brush strokes in an hour, because I had to take my brush, I had to look, and I had to think, and it was like I was like, oh my God, this is so much harder. Like I thought this would be so easy, and now it's like it's gotten really easy. I mean, I've already streamed like 20 hours, and so by the 4th or 5th hour, I was like fine at it. And then I think the biggest thing too is like just from like like from a mental health standpoint, it's been really good just to be able to like talk, I guess. Like, and I've covered things like I had like a big episode on like imposter syndrome last week, kind of in 40K and in like my professional career. I was talking about like I had some like COVID comments around like our pandemic response. Like I'm always like interested in talking about those things that are not just limited to the hobby, because those are things that I'm passionate about outside of the hobby as well. And so, that might not be the most like entertaining content, but it's important to me, and it's important for me to like make my voice heard and to be unfiltered. And I've talked about Games Workshop, and I've talked about lots of other things kind of in and around, kind of orbiting the hobby. So I'm hoping to kind of continue to do that and just maybe help some people to find some like, someone that feels the same as they do, that they can relate to. So.
Awesome. What's the name of your channels?
So my name on Twitch is Duplicity Paint. I can post it in the chat. And that's I kind of coincided it. Well, I was like I've always done a little bit of commission painting, like private stuff. People have been like, hey, would you paint something for me? I'm not a commission painter though, right, by any means. And so actually it was really funny, the story. I had a dream that I was like in the Alpha Legion, and when I woke up, I was like, Duplicity, that's gonna be the name of my painting studio. Cause I don't know. So like I had a 40K dream where the where like the name of the studio came to me in a dream, where like the Alpha Legion, I was part of the Alpha Legion. So that's where the name comes from, surprisingly. But so I started to, and I was like, I want to save for a house eventually. I live in Vancouver, BC, which is like insane. So I was like, what could I do that's not like on the side and maybe make a little bit of extra money? And so I thought I'll do some more commission painting, which I didn't realize how quickly that I would get busy with that, because within a week, I was like, I'm like booked for like 3 months. Like it was mental. And like I'm, I've won like lots of painting awards. Like people know that I can paint well. So I had a little bit of a leg up. I'd imagine if you're just starting from scratch and like no one knew who you were, it'd probably be a little different. But I don't know, from my perspective, I was like, like literally within, like a week, I was like, I'm like booked till like July. And that was with like within 48 hours. It was crazy.
Wow.
That's awesome,
and it was good, but then I was like, what have I done? Because I'm like trying to paint my own stuff. And so I'm like trying to like, hey, like I'll paint theirs and then one of mine and theirs and one of mine. Cause like, I don't want to be this thing where like it's full time. And that's how it helped motivate me, being like, okay, as soon as I finish this client project, I get to do one of my things. Right. And so that's been good. But yeah, so I've been that's kind of the name of the channel. And I built a website on Squarespace after listening to like sponsor just about every podcast. I'm like, oh, it'll be so easy. Literally like a week later, pulling out all my hair. I'm like, this is so hard. And I used to code HTML as a kid. Like when I was younger, I used to like code like HTML. And here I am trying to build a Squarespace site. Like, man, I've become old and like unable to use technology. Like it's so bad. So.
It's dude. Yeah. Twitch is a really awesome experience to be able to kind of, like you said, have a platform and sort of have that same cathartic experience of like, we get to do the hobby that we love, but it's almost like you're doing it with other people that just aren't in the room with you, and have that sort of like stream of consciousness type conversation while you're working on stuff and make those connections and do all that stuff, especially in a time like this where we're all sort of separated at home and can't really talk to people all the time, that sort of deal. So I'm glad you're on Twitch finally. I think more people should get on there and start doing fun stuff like that.
Yeah, and like I had like someone sub like give me like their Bezos bucks, right? So someone give me, and it was like analytics, like your payout is like $4.32. I'm like, I'm a Twitch streamer. Like I was like the first like $4. I was like, yeah, it's like officially I was a Twitch streamer, and I was like, all right, like this is so like it's like it's just such a creative outlet for me, right? But I don't know. There's a feel good thing when you make your first cent, right? You're like, oh yeah, okay, it's official. I'm a professional streamer.
Right. You got to take a screen cap of it.
Yeah, it's like the first check you get when you're a kid.
You get it blown up. You have it like this big. Put it next to Yoda up there.
So
you mentioned that you're also kind of doing your own podcast thing. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the Twitch streaming is more just like very raw. It's like me painting. It's like top down view. And Twitch is definitely something where you see that a lot. Like there's a lot of like paint streaming happening. And, I've been trying to do a little bit of like tips and tricks on that, but it's kind of hard to be honest. Like I think you really need like good camera work to do like good painting videos. Like I have a 4K webcam, but even that is not great for like detail. Like I think you really need a DSLR to do like really good like painting videos. But the podcast is something that I've wanted to do for a while, because I just want an outlet to kind of talk about all things hobby. Like we have like a section where we just talk about lore. We have a section where we just talk about like sportsmanship and background. And then I also want an opportunity to like interview people and bring on guests. And then also just like a bit of a soapbox. So I could like, I had quite a long rant about like some judging like incidents a few weeks back. And then like just talking about things like, me and David, we had a really long conversation about like how paint judging should be scored at tournaments. So it's still got a bit of a competitive lean, but we definitely get into things like background and stuff. And that's something that like, again, same thing. Like I read a lot of the books. I just finished Fury of Magnus.
That's a good one.
And I just finished Penitent from the Beckwing trilogy, and I was like, oh, I need to talk about this to someone. I was like, and like none of my friends like have read it, so I'm like, I need somewhere where I can talk about this book and like just tell people about how crazy this book is. And I've like so just having a place where I can talk about like the background and the novels and stuff like that. Like it's like when you get out of a movie and you're like, okay, I gotta call my friend and like we gotta talk about this movie. Like I need that.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I need that. And so for the podcast is kind of that. Currently it's just Twitch stream. I've converted the first episode to a podcast and published it, but it's like I'm still waiting on like approvals from like all the things. So I don't know if I'll like how big the actual podcast part will be, but the goal is to get it as an audio podcast eventually. Right now I'm just really focused on, we're still figuring out the show and stuff, but we do it every Thursday at 6 p.m. On Twitch and YouTube. So
awesome. That was best overall, right?
The best overall show. Yeah. And again, I was kind of inspired a little bit by like the best general. I don't know if you guys remember, that was like Adam Abramowitz, but his was about like a guy that was the best overall, like you always won best overall is trying to be the best general. And for me, I was like, oh, like I want that, but like actually the best overall is the most, like for me, and we had a long discussion about last week, like why we think it's such an important part of the award. And, there's a lot of like competitive gamers that don't think it should exist. Like Renaissance, I think of someone like Sean Naden, who wins like Renaissance Man every year at LVO.
The Renaissance Man. Yeah.
he's like always Renaissance Man. And I'm like, yeah, I want everyone in the hobby to be Renaissance Mans. And something that Kenny really like always he talks about us bringing hobby back, and I know you guys talked about that. And like for me, that is such a big part of this. Is like I want everyone to be a Renaissance man. Like that would be the ideal if everyone is Renaissance man. So we want to create Renaissance men, right? We want to create more of those people in the hobby, and that's really like the goal to show people that are like passionate about the competitive side, passionate about the story, passionate about painting, and that's really kind of the impetus behind it, right?
That's awesome.
I think a lot now with that extra 10 points. Well, we haven't super seen it yet because there hasn't been a lot of competitive gaming, but that 10 points is really going to come into play in the future in events, you know, and it's gonna be on people's minds like, oh shit, I need to get up to the standard that was the battle ready standard to get my 10 points. And that's pretty huge. You know, it is part of the hobby. It is part of competition in my mind.
I'm really glad. Like sometimes when GW puts out stuff, it's almost immediately rejected by the competitive community. Like the book missions in 8th edition, 7th edition, people probably didn't even like, if you really think about it, the competitive community when 8th came out, didn't really even give those missions a chance. I think most people were immediately like, yeah, they just assume we're going to play ITC missions, right? And when 9th came out, I bet you had FLG not literally said, there is no more ITC missions, we're going to play the book missions. If the ITC missions still existed, people would be playing the ITC missions right now. All of the people playing the book missions would not exist. So I'm glad that the competitive community didn't immediately like reject that whole battle ready thing, because I think there was a little bit of controversy around it around the start of the edition.
Oh yeah, we talked about it. I was initially very against the book missions, but then they like the style of scoring, I guess you could say, like the format, I was not a huge fan of, because for a long time we had played ITC missions. But moving forward into the GT book, it's gotten a lot better. And I've always, like, even when there was a little bit of controversy, my opinion was always like, you know, I'm don't control the tournaments that I go to. I just go to play in them. And just like any other, competition or sport or what have you, like, you got to play the rules. So if the NFL says that like you have to wear pads to play football, then as a pro player, you can't be like, nah, I'm not going to do that, right? They won't let you play. So you have to do that. So like a funny hyperbole is like, if we want to go to LVO and they said to play at LVO, we all have to wear like dumb little conical party hats, then like, I'm going to wear that dumb little conical party hat because that's what it takes to play in the event. I want to have fun and play. So
you're such a win it all cost player, Wyatt.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, of course.
For real.
But the thing about it's a fairly low bar. Like if they had been like, oh yeah, it's got to be like a high standard, but I think the bar, it's such a low bar. Oh yeah. And I think I'm really hoping, and I mean, it's yet to be seen what like Mike Brandt kind of comes up with the whole events. Like when they announced like GW is going to start doing events again and all this kind of stuff. And then obviously we had pandemic. I'm really curious to see both what Mike incorporates into those global events, like what kind of, I guess, rules, like things like, is there going to be more to the battle ready? Is it going to be like testing ground for like more, I guess, intense like scoring? And second, with the GT missions, I'm really hoping we see like chapter approved an annual update, because I think as good as they are, there's a lot of like people use the same 4 or 5 secondaries and then just the rest is like garbage, right? So I think or people have solved the missions just like they did with ITC, where it's like, here's the breakpoints for how to build lists, and this gives you basically an automatic 85 points, and then like the plus or minus 10 points depending on the game. Like, so I think there's an opportunity there for GW to really keep the mission set fresh, and I hope every year we get a new set of missions and a new set of secondaries, or at least updated secondaries, kind of with the points update. And I think that would go a long way in keeping the game really fresh throughout the edition, rather than, because ITC even at the end, even though they did update their secondaries, it kind of felt solved too in a lot of ways.
Yes, I would agree to that. One thing that we've talked about before is I would very much like to see almost like a seasonal update for 40K. Right?
Well, we did though. FLG put it out every they tweet them. There was betas for a hot minute, and then it was good.
But with these GT books and chapter approved, like I definitely feel like it's a great way for them to be like, okay, this was like the 2021 season, right? And this is what we had. And then they can create this new book that comes out at the top of a year. And it's like, this is the new season, and we can see these changes that can kind of flipped the game on its head. So like when we transitioned from 8th to 9th, from match play to the new match play, and like one of the biggest things was like CP, how you generate and use CP was completely changed, turned it on its head, right? And I really enjoyed that change because like it is one of those things that like even if the points were very similar, you couldn't run lists the same way because the CP just doesn't work that way anymore. And so I think if they did sort of like a seasonal change where it's like maybe some detachments change or the secondaries and the primaries change, like that would be a great way to keep the game fresh, but without totally invalidating like the armies that you're currently playing. I like that idea.
Yeah, I do really like the model to AOS with the General's Handbook every year. Mm-hmm. And for them, it's quite meta changing. Like chapter approved is usually kind of plays around the edges. They're like, here's some points, updates, but it's not huge. But whereas the General's Handbook in AOS is like, it's like the big release every year that really kind of shapes the game for the whole year. Whereas chapter approved traditionally has, because I guess maybe in the past people weren't necessarily playing the missions. It was just more of like some points updates. And I found kind of in the last 2 years of the chapter approved for 8th, the point changes were fairly minor or predictable, right? That was like, oh, there's just going to be a big nerf or a big like whatever. And so I'm really hoping that the chapter approved GT packet, because I think they came together when 9th was released. Like they came in one little group.
Yeah.
So I hope that's just like an annual
books. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just hope that's like an annual thing that comes out. And I think that, and thank God it's ring bound. Like it took them only like 30 years
that was
to
really
figure out how ring bound books are really nice. So
yeah, the big thing is I don't think, and you're 100% right. The AOS General's Handbook is game changing, and not only do they come out with new missions for the new year, but they also rework some of the favorites from the year previous that are still in play. So in some cases, you'll get a mission type that is in play for like 2 years because it's that good, and they kind of tweak it. So it's a little bit different from AOS to 40K. But on the 40K side of things, I've been saying each one of these, they shouldn't be charging us for the points at all. And because I'm going to spend my hobby dollars on buying new minis because of the points. So it's like charging me for a Coke and the ice that comes in the Coke. Like, I don't like that. And I've talked about that in the past, but with 40K, the way they did the chapter approved in the beginning of the year, where in my mind, I wasn't really paying for the points. The points were secondary. The points were a separate book. They came in there and that was nice. But what I was really paying for was boom, the chapter approved, the 3 rings, the little Velcro thingy. And, that was dope because we use that so much. We still use it today, and yeah, they FAQ'd some of the secondaries, but whatever, no big deal. So I think in my mind, I'm all aboard buying that content, but I'm not on board paying for points changes.
Yeah. Points should be the micro change. I mean, we saw this, one of the things that I was really hyped for was the first couple of months of the year, or January and February, they released points changes on the FAQ website. And not every single little thing changed. It was a handful of minor changes across maybe 1 or 2 codexes. But I was like, oh, they could do this. At the top of every month, they could release a micro change, on a handful of units spread across the entirety of their faction codexes. And it's just this minor little thing. And they could manage the game that way. And then the macro change is the chapter approved books. That's what they should do. Yeah.
Especially because when you think about it, with the app too now, they get you 3 times. They get you when you buy the book, when you pay for the app, and then when you get the chapter approved. So in order to play your army, they're getting you at 3 different times to pay, right? So it's when I buy the codex, I should just get that. It's imagine having a book that releases it's hey, this is a typo we found, but it's $30 for us to give you to tell you what the typo is. That's essentially what they're doing with chapter approved, right? So I definitely agree with you that it should be free. And if it's not putting out the points digitally costs them a whole lot. Obviously there's some time, but that should just kind of come along with the cost, the money we spend on the chapter approved, right? That should cover essentially lifetime updates to that book or to the codex, right? Especially these days, but I mean, I think GW is still trying to their whole digital strategy with the app and the digital codexes and all that stuff. I still think they're trying to still be, they're kind of trying to half do it. They need to fully commit to all digital, I think. Full digital rules, full digital army builder, all that stuff. and then have the paper for me ideally would be like background, photos, painting. You can still include the rules, but then you should be able to buy just the rules, just the points, and just like the army rules digitally. And that could be updated like, monthly.
Yeah,
so that would be
get more value from those codexes if they weren't a perishable commodity, right?
So,
like Rob, you're grabbing something that I was literally about to mention. So like for me, I really wish that Rob is holding up this How to Paint Deathwatch book, right?
Yeah.
These were great.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Like if I could buy like a dope Ultramarines codex, right? And the only thing in that codex was like some lore and a bunch of cool pictures, and like hobby stuff, then that book will last forever, right? Whereas if I buy the Ultramarine book for 9th edition, it's going to have some lore, some pictures. I don't care about any of that because the reason I'm buying that is so I can play the game, because that has all my data cards and my points values and my new rules and the Crusade stuff and like everything about playing the game. I would so much rather the codexes be a resource of just like hobby, and like that. Those would be a great place to put Crusade, because Crusade is not something that they have to micromanage the same way as they do match play, and then have hobby resources in there, because then those books will have value to you over a long period of time. Whereas like I've thrown away more Space Marine codexes than I can remember, because like they're not worth anything after the new edition comes out.
Yeah. I always wonder, like, and I kind of feel bad for the writers. I'm like, how many times, because like every book, say for every Chaos Codex has a blurb about Abaddon. So I'm like, how many times are they going to like rewrite? Like, do they plagiarize the work from previous books, or do they try to like rewrite it in like their own words every time? Because after like 9 codexes, you'd think like they would just stop changing, right? Like unless there's a retcon. And I'm like, you guys could release like a Chaos background book that could last 3 editions, because unless there's like a new unit being added, there's no reason that needs to be reprinted. Like, here's your Chaos background painting book. I always wonder, I'm like, I wonder if you took, and I know like obviously from like 2nd edition really early, it changed a lot, but like I'd say in the last like 4 editions, the background for like some of the books has not changed a ton. And so I'm just really curious if like whenever they have to rewrite the unit entries, like the background for each unit, I'm like, do you think it just like plagiarized last edition, or do you think they take it
like, hey man, can I copy your homework?
Switch the sentences, like change a few words, or like that? This is like, it's exactly like, how many ways can you describe to us what a Space Marine like sergeant is, right? Like it's just so.
Oh man. Well, it was great having you on, Jim.
Sorry guys, I wish I could stay longer. And
you have to go do your own podcast. So if you guys are listening, make sure to head over to the Best Overall Show.
After the Long War, though.
After the Long War,
yeah. Okay. So thanks for having me on, and say hi to Kenny. Sorry that I missed him. So hopefully you guys take care, and hopefully you guys all stay safe down there. I know you're saying that like I'm in Canada, but I was like, our vaccine rollout hasn't been great. So I'm like, like you guys are actually beating us in vaccines now. So it's like, I'm like, oh, like all the fun I made of the American healthcare system is coming back. So like to bite us. So, all right, guys, take care.
One last question for you. Go ahead. Though. Somebody in the chat was asking if Canadians had American girlfriends, like Americans have Canadian girlfriends, when they want to fake it.
Oh, wow. I mean, I've never had an American girlfriend. I've had a Mexican girlfriend.
Okay.
But she's like real.
But like she's real. We just have never met her.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, all right, guys, take care.
Later.
Thanks, everyone.
Haspil, take us out.
Have no fear, ladies and gentlemen. Those chains are made of chrome steel.